So you have seen that when we drag down the date field from our table to any visual, for example a matrix, when we drag down the date field to rows or columns, it automatically creates the data, it automatically split the data into years, and then we can also split it down by quarters and even by the months and dates. So this is basically an automatic hierarchy that is created by Power BI when we drag down the date field from here to any row or column. So, and you can see that it has in Power BI, it has automatically split the data into years, and then it has split the year into 4 quarters, and then it has split each year, each quarter into the month as well. And finally, you can split each month into the days as well. So this is basically the standard feature of Power BI, and it allows you to analyze your data very quickly at year level or quarter or month or day level. However, this feature is only applicable for the calendar years. What that means is when you will drag down the date, that your data will be split into years, which are basically calendar years, which begin from the January, 1st of January, and which end at 31st of December. And then first quarter, that is January to March, is considered as quarter 1. The next quarter is called quarter 2, and then so on. But you know, in reality, in the real world, often we have different different financial year that is different from the calendar year itself, which means that calendar year always start from January and it ends at December, but your financial year may start from July and it will end at 30th of June, or it can even start from the April and it will end at the 31st of March. Now, if that is the situation, and then you have to work with that data, with the same data for that kind of years, how we are going to work that in Power BI, we are going to learn that in this video. But you know, the first thing that I would like to tell you is, unfortunately, there is no direct or quick solution. We will have to find our way by making some adjustments in the data. But one thing that I would like to mention here is that all the workings that we have done, all the measures that we have written will remain the same. We will not have to make any changes in there, but we will have to define the new years in our data. What I mean by that is, if you look at my date table, you can see, my calendar table, you can see I have the date column followed by the year, which is basically the calendar year. It has been calculated according to the calendar year. And then we have the quarter, and then we have the month, and we have the month name. But after that, we have added new columns which are there to define the fiscal years, fiscal quarter, and fiscal month. What that means is, in my case, the data I'm considering, the case I am considering is that my year will start from the 1st of July and it will end at 30th of June. So for considering that, I have defined my fiscal year and my quarters and months accordingly. So you can see for the January, we have fiscal month as 7, and we have labeled it correctly as quarter 3, and we have given the year in the same manner. So if I can just scroll down the data, you will see what I mean by this last point, and you can see here that we are now in fiscal year 2019. Even if I am in the 2018 August, I'm calling this as fiscal year 2019 because the fiscal year 2019 will start from the 1st of July 2018. And you can see that as we move to the July, the fiscal year has changed, but I have defined this data myself here. Now, of course, you can do this data defining part in Microsoft Excel as well, but we can do this part in Power BI as well. And in this video, I'm going to split this overall task into 2 parts. In the first part, I will tell you how we can create this table in Power BI right from scratch. And after that, how we can create the hierarchy in the way that we want. In the months in the financial year, from which month it starts and from which month it ends. So I will be doing the both parts here in this video. But first of all, I will take you to a brand new Power BI file so that we can start everything right from scratch. So let us open a new Power BI file. So I am in a new Power BI file now. I will close this window. And now the first thing that I want to do is to add a new table in this file where I will define all my dates. So I will go to the modeling tab and I will say, please add a new table. And in that new table, Just give it a second. Okay, so yes, now we are in the table pane, and now we have to define the table here using the text measure. So I will say let's name this as calendar, and on this table I'm going to write a text measure that will automatically define the dates in that table. So I will say please add a calendar. I will use calendar function now. Now you can use two functions. You can use calendar auto and you can use calendar function itself. So if I use the calendar auto function, all I have to do is to close the bracket and press enter, and by doing that Power BI will automatically add a calendar here for all the dates right from the start of the data in my BI file to the end of the data. So if you already have some data, data like for example say GL, so this function will automatically add a complete table right from the starting point, the starting date that is available in that GL, and to the ending date. And when the system refreshes, if there is new data coming in from GL, this table will automatically be updated to include those dates as well. However, you know that in my file that I'm using right now, I do not have any data at all, so I should not be using the calendar auto function. Rather, I will simply be using the calendar function. And now in this calendar function, I will have to add the starting date and the ending date. But I cannot just start typing the date right straight away, because that is not how this formula will work. So I will have to use the date function first, and I will have to hard code the value of that date in this formula now. So I will define the year first, and that is going to be 2018. The next argument has to be the month, so I will say please use the 01, and then the day will also be 01, and let us close the bracket. So we have defined the starting date, that is going to be the 1st of January 2018, and now let us define the ending date as well, and again we have to bracket that up in the date function. So I will say that please make it 2020, and then the month should be the 12th month, that is December, and then the day would be 31st. So I'll close the bracket for the date function and also then for the calendar function. And now we will just press the enter, and this will add a new table. But before that, let me tell you one thing again, that I have just defined the 3-year calendar here. My financial year can be different, and if you wanted to start the data straight away from the 1st of July 2018, you could do that as well, and you will end this for the period, you will end this data at the 30th of June 2021. But I want to show you the overall functionality, so I'm going with the calendar year to begin with, and later on we will adjust the financial year accordingly. But anyhow, this first step will not make any difference, the remaining steps will remain the same. So let us press enter, and let me take you to this table pane here so that we can see what has happened to this table now. And you can see that now the system has added a table here which starts from the 1st of January 2018 and it goes all the way to the 31st of December 2020. And now let us do some formatting. So first of all, I don't want to present this column into date and time. I only want date, so I will do that. And after that I will say please only use this the short date format. We have done that as well. And now once we have done the basic date, we want to add some extra columns here. They would be for year, for month, and for quarter. Well, a system automatically creates those columns as well when we need them in the hierarchy, but we can manually add them as well, and sometimes that is useful for us. So let us add the new column here, and this time I'm going to define the year in this column. So I will say please name this column as year, and then I will say please use the year function. And now let us tell the date, and I will simply write the date. And now I have to refer this function to the date that I already have defined here. So I will say please use the calendar and date. Please do not confuse with fx functions. Fx are basically functions. We want the value that we have just defined. So I will use this calendar date function and close the bracket. And now you can see that a year has been defined. And as I scroll down, and as the year changes in the date, this year has also been changed. Let us do the same again. Let us add a new column, and this time we are going to define the quarter. So I will name it as QTR and I'll say quarter function, and then let us again refer to the date that we have just defined and close the bracket and press enter. And you can see that system has automatically added the calendar, but it has the quarters have been added according to the calendar year. So the January and February and March are going to fall in the quarter one for this quarter definition, right? And you can see for the last month, November and December, we have this fourth quarter that has been defined correctly according to calendar year. Let us also add the month. So I will say go here and please say month, and I will say month function. And now let us refer it to the date. Let us add this and enter, and finally press enter, and it will add the months accordingly. And just one more thing that I would like to show you, if you want to see the month name here, you can do that as well. For that, please add a new column, and I will say now let us call this as month name and use the format function. And in that format function, first of all, please refer to the date, and now let us use the inverted commas and write MMMM. So if you will use the M 4 times, it will return you the complete name, but if you use the M 3 times, it will return you the short name, I mean first 3 letters for each month. Close the bracket and press enter, and you can see that we now have month name for each month as well. So that is often useful when we are working with visuals and we want to represent the month name. So you can see that all of these calculations that we have done, all of this data that we have arranged was according to the standard calendar year. So it was pretty straightforward and there was no complication at all. But now I want to add some more columns, and in those columns I will basically define my fiscal, I mean financial year, financial quarter and financial month. Let us start doing that by fiscal year. Now there is no straightforward function which I can tell that my fiscal year starts from this point and automatically be adjusted. There is nothing like that. So we have to use this data, and using the if statement we have to work out the new columns accordingly. But that is not difficult, that is going to be very easy. So let us start straight away. I will say please add a new column here in this table, and let us name this as fiscal year. And now let us write a function using if statement, and that if statement is going to be, now let me explain you how I'm going to define this new function. I will say that if the month is between 1 and 6, if it is less than or equal to 6, the financial year should be same as the year itself, that is 2018. But if the month is higher than 6, I mean it is 7 or 8 or 9, then the financial year would be this year plus 1, I mean 2019. Let me repeat. So in 2018, sorry, in 2018 in the month of July, the fiscal year that will start is 2019, right? So the year will change automatically. So that is what we are going to define now. So I will say if the month, and of course we have to refer the same function that we have just defined, if the month is less than or equal to 6, please use the year, please return me the year. I'm sorry, not the function, the year that we have just defined, this one. And otherwise, if that is not the case, in other case, if, again an if statement, if the month that we have just defined is greater than, greater than 6, please return me the year that we have just defined plus 1. Please add 1 into that. Now the beauty is this one function will work for all the years because there is no year dependence. We are working with the months. This will work for all the years no matter how many years are there in the data. Let us press enter and see what happens. So we have the new column that is named as fiscal year, and you can see it is correctly working in January as 2018. Let us scroll down and see what happens in the month of July. So in the month of July, you can see by June it was in 2018, but as the July started, it has gone to 2019. Now this fiscal year is working pretty fine. Let us scroll down and check one more year. So you can see we are scrolling down and 2018 has ended and we are just starting 2019 now in January, but the year is again 2019. For the first 6 months of 2019, the fiscal year will be 2019. So it is working pretty fine. And as we move to the month of July, now you can see that the year is 2019. I mean the calendar year is 2019, but as we fall to the month of July, the fiscal year has changed to 2020. So by defining a very simple function here, a DEX function, we have defined our fiscal year. Now using the same method, let us add a new column for the fiscal quarter as well. Let us click on new column and we are going to name this a new column as fiscal quarter. And let's use the formula again, that is if statement. And what I'm going to say this time is, since there are only 4 quarters, we can work straight away. And what I'm gonna say is whenever the quarter is 1, please replace it with 3 in this column. When the quarter is 2, make it 4. And when the quarter is 3, in the 3rd quarter, the next year starts. So that will be becoming quarter 1. So let us do that. I will say if QTR, that is this function, this column here, equals 3, please make it 1. That is the 3rd quarter will be becoming the 1st quarter. Use the comma. And now let us repeat the same statement. If quarter is 4, replace it with 2. That is again the similar statement. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna copy this statement from here to save my time, rather than using the same function again and again. I will copy this equation and now I will go to next line, copy paste and copy paste. And now let us simply define that logic that we were just talking about, that 4 should be replaced with 2, and then 1 should be replaced with 3 and 2 should be replaced with 4. So let us and then please remove this comma here, and now please close the bracket. 1 2 3 4, and you can notice that it is telling you that which bracket you are closing. So you will apply one more bracket so that even the last bracket is closed. Now you will notice here that in fact everything has been discussed, so let me just repeat what we have done. Quarter 3 should be replaced with 1, 4 would become 2, 1 would become 3 and 2 would become 4. Press enter and here you go. So the month of January, that is the first month, that is falling in the 3rd quarter, and then the second May, June are falling in the 4th quarter. That is correct for our financial year. And then the July, August are falling in the 1st quarter, and if I scroll down, the October, November and December are falling in the 2nd quarter of the financial year. And then again, as the new year starts, January is again coming the 3rd. So that was an easy way to define the fiscal quarter. And finally, we have to define the fiscal month as well. So basically what I want is that the month of January, that is the first month, should be called the 7th month in my fiscal year. Similarly, the February would not be the 2nd. Well, it is the 2nd month for the calendar year, but for my fiscal year, it will be actually the 8th month. So I have to write that statement now to replace that month with the fiscal month. So please add a new column here and let us name this new column as fiscal month, and this will be defined as if the month that we have just defined, let me check this one, calendar month, if that month, I'm sorry, I just double clicked, so I will go back and start from the same point. So if the month equals 1, please make it 7. So the first month will actually become the 7th month, and similarly the second month will become the 8th month. Now I'm going to repeat this statement 12 times. So the easier way of doing that would be simply copy this one and just paste it at the cells below. So let us keep doing it. 4 times 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. Okay, so now let us go up, and I want to replace the second as well, 2nd month, and then I will replace the 3rd one, 4th one, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. That will be the 12 months. And now let us talk about this number here. The first one will be replaced with 7, second one will replace with 8, this one will replace with 9, and then 10, and then 11, and then 12, and then the 7th month will become the first month, 8 will become the second, and then third, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6. Now no need for this comma because there's no further argument that is coming up, and now we need to close the bracket. So simply keep an eye on this bracket here that is showing up here, so that you can keep up and close the brackets correctly. So let us keep doing it until we close the last bracket, and we have done that now. Let us press enter and it will resolve whatever error is being shown here. Sorry for this screen glitch. And now the months have been added, and if I can just show you, you can see here that the January has been replaced with 7th, and if I can scroll down, February is becoming the 8th, March is becoming 9th month, April is 10, May is 11, June is 12, and then July is 1st. That is correctly done. And if you scroll down all the way, you can see that December has become the 6th month of your year, of your fiscal year. Well, that was the first part where we have to define this calendar in our data, and we have to define our fiscal year, quarter and month accordingly. Now there is a second part to this, and that part is even more important. And that part is we have to now manually create a hierarchy for fiscal year, fiscal quarter and fiscal month. And let us do that. That is going to be very easy. So I will go to fiscal year here, and I will say please click on these 3 dots or simply right click, and please say create hierarchy. And you can see that the new hierarchy, fiscal year hierarchy, has been created. Now in that fiscal year hierarchy, we already have added the year. Let us add the month as well. So again, quarter as well. So I will go to 3 dots here, add to hierarchy. Which hierarchy? Fiscal year hierarchy. So again, let us go to the month as well, and let us add to hierarchy and fiscal year hierarchy. And finally, I will add the date as well to the hierarchy that I have just created. So now you can see that we have created the full hierarchy here in my Power BI. Now we can go back to our the dashboard, and I can show you that how this hierarchy is working. So if I can simply drag down any visual matrix, for example, and I drag down the date, that is the traditional date that we have used earlier, the calendar year, and I scroll that down to the rows, you can see that the automatic hierarchy that Power BI creates, it has been created, and it is giving you the the conventional style 2018, 19 and 20, and then there are 4 quarters, and then in each quarter there are 3 months with the standard function as quarter 1 with January, February and March. Well, that is the standard hierarchy that Power BI creates. But now I will show you the new hierarchy, and in that new hierarchy I will rather drag down this fiscal year hierarchy to the rows, and you will observe that the system has now created a different kind of dates here because they are fiscal year. And if I can expand them down, you can see the next level is the quarter, but again we are seeing a little different kind of data here. Why is that so? Let me explain you. So if we talk about fiscal year 2018, fiscal year 2018 ends at 30th of June 2018, but it will start from the 1st of July 2017. In our data, the dates that we have just defined, 2018 year was starting from the 1st of January, which means that the data available for fiscal year 2018 only here is only the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter. Similarly, if we talk about 2019, that is the full year available, but if you look at the 2021, there was no data in the table for 2021, but why it is showing it up here? Because the fiscal year 2021 basically starts from the 1st of July 2020, so the first 2 quarters will be appearing here. Now you can further expand down this one to the month level as well, and if you do that, you can see that in the 2018, that is the 3rd quarter for this fiscal year, because this is the fiscal year, the 3rd quarter, the months are appearing as 7th, 8th and 9th. Now 2018 data was starting from the January, but that month has been labeled here as the 7th month because that is what we have defined, that the calendar month of January, the first month of the calendar year, is actually going to be the 7th month here. I hope the point is clear to you now. But to further demonstrate that these two, how this fiscal year is working completely fine, I'm going to define two small DEX functions here for the min date and the maximum date, so that I can quickly demonstrate you that how this is actually working very well. So I will just drill it up, both the tables up, and now I will define the two quick DEX functions for the min and maximum date. So let us add the minimum date first. Let us go to new measure and let us define it as min date, and that equals min function, and let us refer it to the calendar date and close the bracket. No need to add this further argument, simply close the bracket. Let us make sure that this is formatted as correctly in the date format and in the short date format actually. And after that, let us add another function that is going to be for the maximum date as well. So max date equals max, and again let us simply refer it to the date field, close the bracket. Let us do the formatting and make sure that it is in the short date format, and now it has been done. Now what I will do is that I will drag down the short date, the min date and the maximum date to both of these matrices to show you how it is working. So minimum date going to the values, similarly maximum date going to the values. And for the calendar years, you have simply seen that there is no surprise. The minimum date for that year is going to be 1st of January for that year, and the maximum date is going to be the 31st of December. But now let us do the same for the fiscal year. Let's drag down the minimum date and let us drag down the maximum date. And now you will see the difference that I'm talking about. So here you can see that for 2018, the fiscal year 2018, it is starting from the 1st of January 2018, and the reason is there is no data for 2017, right? So if there was the dynamic data that was available, it must have gone to 2017. So skip this one. This year is only going to be the 6 months actually. Let us talk about 2019. So the 2019 year is starting from the 1st of July 2018. I repeat, the fiscal year 2019 is starting from the 1st of July 2018 and it is ending at the 30th of June 2019. Similarly, the year 2020 is starting from the 1st of July 2019 and going to 30th June 2020. And similarly for the year 2021, it is going to the year 2020 and going to the month of July. But since the data is limited only to the end of the 2020, it will be only 6 months from this period onwards. So the system has correctly defined the financial year in this hierarchy. And if I can just expand it one level down, you will see that for the quarters as well, it is working completely fine. For the third quarter, that is the third quarter as per the fiscal year, third fiscal quarter, it is starting from the 1st of January 18 and ending at 31st of March 2018. For the fourth quarter, that is basically, according to the calendar year, should start from the month of April. So from the April, it is going to the June. So now you can see that once we have created this hierarchy, the system is working completely according to our fiscal year, and I have just used the dates as an example. If there were values, they will be defined in a very similar fashion, and all of your calculations will now be according to the fiscal year. You will not have to make any changes to the DEX measures that we have defined earlier for the FTP values, for the TTD values. They will all remain the same. I hope I have made my point and this is very clear to you. But anyhow, I know that some of the students may like to see a demonstration on data, that how the data will be affected. So I will continue this lecture and I will bring in a data file, a small GL file to demonstrate this one. But if you are already confident that this is working for you, you can skip this lecture now. So now to demonstrate this further with the help of data, what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to bring in another data file that contains some demo values. So before I bring in that demo values into Power BI, Let me show them to you in Excel and let me show you what that is all about. So you can see in this Excel file, I have data starting from the 1st of January 2018 and it is going all the way up to 31st of December 2020. So for all the 3 years, for each day I have added an amount here, and that amount is $1 for each day in 2018, and in 2019 it is going to be $2 for each day, and in 2020 this is going to be $3 for each day. So this is basically just we have used this value. What it basically helps me spot on something unusual very quickly in my reports. That's why I use this kind of values when I'm trying anything new. So we will show you we will use that to demonstrate you how the things are working. Okay, so the next thing that I have to do is I have to take this table to Power BI, and you can see that this table has been defined as GL values in the file fiscal year play data. So now I will go back to my Power BI and I will import this data. So I will say get data, and that is going to be from Excel workbook. It is in my folder that is opened here. So I will say fiscal year play data, please use this file, and in that file, please give it a second. Okay, so give it a second, please. Please use this table, and I will say once selected, I will say please load this. So it is still taking some time. So yes, please select this one and click on load. And now these GL values will be loaded in your system. So give it a second again, and once it is done, right, so it has been loaded to, you can see that this table has been loaded. And one thing that we have to do before we expect any report based on this data, we have to do the data modeling, and I will simply connect the date with date here, and the modeling part has been completed. So now you can expect the reports based on dates from this calendar table and the values from this GL table. So now I will go back to my data again, and I will add a new sheet. On this new sheet, I will add a new matrix here, and in the columns I'm going to bring in my fiscal year hierarchy, and in the values, now I'm going to bring in my amount from the GL values table. Let us do that, and now you can see we have some values here. So if I can show you, we have some values here. For 2018 the value is 181, for 2019 it is going to be 546, for 2020 and 21 you can see the values. One thing that I would like to mention is, please keep in mind that this is the standard calculation that Power BI has done, and that is FTP, I mean for the period values, the kind of values that you expect in income statement. So now I will take you back to my Excel file, and I will actually present you that if these values are correct according to the fiscal year or not. So let us go to Excel now, and let us check for the fiscal year 2018. Now keep in mind, when I'm talking about fiscal year 2018, I'm only talking about the first 6 months from 2018's, that is January to June. That is all about fiscal year 2018. The remaining fiscal year 2018 was in 2017. That is not available in our data. I'll click on OK. And now let me go to the full Excel file mode so that I can check the values. And if I can do that, you can see the sum here is 181 for 2018. That was exactly the value that I could see in my Power BI as well. So that was 181. Now I will go to fiscal year 2019 in my Excel. So let me go back and select all the data first, and now unselect it. And now for 2018, I will only select the last 7 months starting from July to August, September, October, November and December. And then the remaining months of 2018 will remain unchecked. Let us go to 2019, and we will have to select the first 6 months from 2019. So that is all about fiscal year 2019, the first 6 months of 19 and the last 6 months of 18 that we have selected. Click on OK, and now you can check that the sum of all of these values is going to be 546. This is exactly what Power BI has given you correctly for that fiscal year, 546. You can now try for 2020 and 2021 yourself, and I can confirm you that these values are also correct. So that is it. Using this 2-3 tips, the first step was to create the new table with these columns: fiscal year, quarter and month. You could do that in Excel as well, or you can do directly in Power BI. The second step was to create this fiscal year hierarchy, and then the third step is to use this fiscal year hierarchy in the wherever you want to create the dates hierarchy for the date, month, quarter and year according to the fiscal year. So 3 easy steps, and everything, all of your reporting can now be done according to your fiscal year or financial year. I hope this video is useful to you.